After 7 consecutive seasons filled with pain and disappointment, the Indiana Fever are back in the playoffs once again, and standing on their path to the championship in the first round is the 3rd-seeded Connecticut Sun. The build-up ahead of this highly anticipated best-of-3 series is quite intense given the history and bad blood between the two squads, which is highlighted by the matchup of D'jonnai Carrignton and the unanimous Rookie of the Year winner, Caitlin Clark.
Forcing 10 turnovers. Right there you see
left shoulder. Austin had her 11th double-double of the season.
With the Fever being one of the hot teams in the league since the Olympic break, CC and her crew were expected to carry the momentum in Game 1. But just when things are about to pick up for the Fever, a controversial incident transpired that had a major effect on the game's outcome.
In pain after she caught that fingertip in the eye or right around it from Carrignton with no whistle.
Right off the jump ball, both teams open things up with back-to-back jumpers courtesy of Kelsey Mitchell and D'Jonnai Bonner.
Here's Bonner in the corner. She got it on it.
Now, just when Caitlin tries to get things going for herself, D'jonnai Carrignton inadvertently pokes Caitlin in her eye after trying to steal a pass. However, the replay shows that Carrignton might have done it on purpose as she extended her fingernails to Caitlin's right eye in the follow-through. Despite the evidence shown in the replay, no regular foul or flagrant foul was issued to Carrignton as the refs just let the players play. Anyway, Caitlin walked back to the bench while sporting a black eye, and it's pretty clear from that moment on that the incident had affected her vision as she missed a couple of easy buckets, which she normally makes.
In the corner, the push shot banks off.
Meanwhile, the Sun also suffered a casualty on their end as Ty Harris rolled her ankle after attempting to block Lexi Hull in the corner.
3 but gets fouled. It's AT who's down. No, Charis who is down.
With the game increasingly getting more intense and physical, the Sun took advantage of the situation as they held on to a 3-point lead at the end of the first quarter. As expected, Caitlin struggled offensively while playing with her one eye shut as she only scored 3 points on 1 of 5 shooting from the field and 0 of 3 from beyond the arc.
Clark to the rim, reverses it home.
Anyway, the second quarter features the battle of the bigs from respective squads, as Alyssa Thomas lights up the mid-range for the Sun, while Dantas counters her on the other end by slipping buckets inside the paint.
But it's been a competitive, tight game. Dunches gets free.
Kelsey Mitchell also chipped in 6 points to provide additional firepower to the Fever's offense, which still misses Caitlin's production as she went scoreless in the second frame after attempting 7 shots. Due to Caitlin's shooting slump, the Fever found themselves behind the 8 ball once again as the Sun closed out the second quarter strong, with a 12-2 run to regain the lead at the half. With the Fever down by 8 to start the third, Caitlin knew that she had to get going in order for them to close the distance, and around the 7-minute mark, CC finally hit her first 3 of the ball game, which she followed up with a layup.
The 6th here.
But as soon as Caitlin began to heat up, Marina Mabrey took away the spotlight from her as she lit up the scoreboard with 11 big points, 9 of which came from downtown, and her scoring rampage had effectively put a halt on the Fever's looming comeback heading to the 4th and final quarter.
Mabrey will pull and hit!
Anyway, with Caitlin and the Fever down by just 11 points to start the 4th, it looked like they still had one more run left in the tank to close the gap and eventually make it a game. However, their comeback hopes were quickly squashed by the home team as Mabrey picked up where she left off in the third by unleashing 9 points in the 4th, while the Fever helped their cause as they shot themselves in the foot by bricking shots left and right. To cut the story short, Fever was outscored 25-12 in the 4th quarter, and that was basically the difference maker as the Sun handed the Fever a 24-point beatdown and took a 1-0 lead in the series. Marina Mabrey balled out for the Sun by dropping 27 points, 3 rebounds, and 3 assists to go along with 5 triples, while D'jonnai Carrignton also added 14 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists. Meanwhile, Kelsey Mitchell led the Fever in scoring with 21 points on 9 of 20 shooting, followed by Aaliyah Boston, who contributed a double-double of 17 points and 11 rebounds. But see, the biggest story here was Caitlin's lackluster production, as she only finished with 11 points on a horrendous 4 of 17 shooting from the field and 2 of 13 from 3. Anyway, without question, Caitlin's playoff debut didn't pan out the way many people expected it to, and while most of them are blaming Carrignton and her long fingernails for CeCe's bad performance, Caitlin just held herself accountable and vowed to get better next game.
Yeah, obviously got me pretty good in the eye. I don't think it affected me. Honestly, I felt like I got good shots. They just didn't go down. And we were right there, and I felt like we just played a crappy game. The flow of the game was really bad. I don't know if that was the reffing. It was probably partly us because the clock getting messed up. It was just one thing after the next. But yeah, overall, it didn't bother me. Obviously, it didn't feel too good when it happened, but it is what it is.
Now, obviously, there are other factors as to why the Fever lost the game, as Caitlin mentioned, with one involving the guys wearing zebra-patterned shirts. I mean, I can't blame her for saying that because there were obvious fouls that the refs didn't call against the Sun, and there was even one possession at the start of the game where they wrongfully called a foul on Aaliyah Boston, even though she was not involved in the play.
And I thought if it was going to be on anyone, it'd be on Alyssa Smith. I mean, that's clearly not on Aaliyah Boston.
Not anywhere near there. They need to challenge that, or at least get that call right.
And then, of course, there's the Carrignton incident, which they let go unpunished. Well, aside from that, there's also the shot clock issue that happened multiple times, which killed their momentum as they were chipping the Suns' lead during the first half.
And again, the clock operators put the shot clock at 14 rather than 24, and Caitlin Clark's frustrated, saying, "We're off a miss, we want to run."
Anyway, although this stuff may have affected the Fever's game in one way or another, they're not pinning their loss on these external factors alone, because at the end of the day, it all boiled down to their poor shooting and their lack of aggressiveness in defending Marina Mabrey.
I agree with what Caitlin just said. We scored 69 points. The first 3 quarters we battled. I think we got rattled in the third a little bit when that fourth quarter we stopped scoring. There was some wide open shots that would have given us even more assists, right?
Outside of aggressiveness, with or without adjustment, I think that we should our 12 should be aggressive to start the game.
Yeah, I agree. I just think we have to close their space down a lot more. I mean, we can't even let her, got to close it down and then get hands up and contest. I'm pretty sure when I go back and watch, I don't think one of our goals is to contest every shot.
I mean, the Fever, who averaged 85 points per game during the regular season, shot an uncharacteristic 40.3% as a team in Game 1, including a dismal 21.4% from three-point range, while getting out-rebounded 36-29 and outscored 50-36 in the paint. These are the major areas that they need to improve on in order to keep their playoff hopes alive. But see, even if they filled these areas up, the Fever will still need a big bounce-back game from their Rookie of the Year in Game 2. Well, the positive thing that the Fever can get out of this loss is that it happened in the first game of the series. And despite her offensive struggles, Caitlin's confidence in herself and her teammates remains high. And more importantly, she believes that they can pull an upset in the next game once necessary adjustments have been made.
Like I said, we had our chances. I felt like I said, we didn't play well. We didn't play to the level that we're capable of playing. We didn't shoot the ball like we're capable of. But even that to the side, we're capable of winning this game without making shots.